I'm Dustin Baker. I'm a small business owner, SBA lending professional, and a strong believer in the power of entrepreneurialism to bring the best out in our communities. 2020 was tough, but I believe we're resilient. So I'm traveling the country, talking to small businesses and the SBA lenders who help them succeed in order to prove it. We're on a mission to build community through shared story. No airports for me. This is my chariot. The road is calling. We're gonna do some fun stuff, and you really need to come watch it because it's gonna be amazing and all the cool kids are doing it. So join me on the SBA Roadshow. It is snowing in Kentucky. We had a fun experience at a rest stop right across the Kentucky line last night.
Okay.
I pulled in, and so there's this big long line. What, Kirk? Maybe 5-6 dozen
Easily,
big rigs that are all parked, and there's me, right? And so I'm like, well, I can come back around the other way. Nobody's coming through here, and find my way over to the other side. Well, I couldn't. I got to the very end. There's one guy parked. There's a curb, and so we're stuck. So we pull in next to this guy, and I kind of took the long roundabout route forward and then 3-point turn, backed it. It was, it was kind of like a yahoo. And this guy starts talking to us. He's a truck driver in this truck that's parked next to where we are. And he says, what did he say, Kurt?
Well, he like points his flashlight at us.
Pointed the flashlight at us.
So I roll down the window. He's on my side.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's like, what's wrong with these yahoos? Yeah. Yeah, it's like, what's wrong with these guys? Yeah, I just came in the wrong way.
He's like saying he used to be a cop.
I was a cop for 14 years, and, I'm going to be watching y'all. I'm looking for my boot so I can go take a leak, but watch us all you want, man.
Because we're acting.
You're acting, people create diversions. I'm not going to have any stolen freight. Well, then you should quit talking to us. Hey, man, I don't want your freight. And he's like, oh, you think it's funny? You want it to be funny?
14 years, you think I'm joking? You think it's a joke?
No. What is he saying?
He's saying that don't laugh about it. He's getting hot about it.
Wow.
Like,
Coffee Highlands.
Just because you tried to get around him because there was such a... and you went the wrong way?
yeah. We laughed, and he said, oh, you think it's funny? It's like, less and less. Do I think this is funny? If you don't mind, I'm gonna take a leak and we'll see you later. Welcome to Kentucky. What's the deal with Louisvillians and food? Because food is there's a few things that are really big deal here, but that seems like that's a big one.
The reason why I think it's such a big deal with the food is that, we've had we've had a really, really big culture of hospitality in the state. And you look at some of the events that, especially in Louisville, you look at a lot of events, we lean on tourism. We bring hundreds of thousands of people in each year from Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
And the rise of bourbon as just a spirit has prompted just a lot more of
Bourbon Trail, people
as well as the
their
food
favorite
scene.
distillery.
Correct. And what's happened is, we don't have pro sports here. And so going out has become a culture. It's become our entertainment. This is a city that appreciates good drink, appreciates good food, and so when you open up
the
new
value
concepts,
of enjoying those things with other people too,
100%, as well as also the challenge, because we don't. Yes, there's plenty to do here, but we don't have the major draw. And what's really interesting is just that I think it's a market where people like to go out to eat. We've been, the community has been devastated. I don't know exactly how many have shut down, but easily 20, 30 restaurants in town that were well known have shut down as a result of COVID. So Quill should be up here on your right. Dude, I've asked if you've been shaking. Yeah, isn't that?
John, we've been talking for 10, 11 years, late into the night. And so I don't know how to distill all that, and distill is not a pun for the drink that we're enjoying right now, into a conversation that's beneficial and interesting to other people in our industry, but let's try.
Great.
We met 11 years ago. When I think of you, one of the things I always go to first is something that you said the very first kind of long phone conversation that we had. I bet you can remember exactly what it was you said, but it's like the dating game. I'm gonna let you try. So do you remember, do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, I think I probably have a lot of sayings, but is it the one that I said that in the midst of adversity there's incredible opportunity?
Yeah, so when I think of you, I always think about the idea of responding to adversity.
Yeah.
So let's start with that idea. So unpack that a little bit for me and put it into context of kind of your experience in the SBA sector and thinking about responding to adversity. Tell me what that means to you.
Yeah, I think that responding to adversity, I mean, it's interesting because even going back to when I was a kid, I mean, I've always dealt with I've always been faced with a tremendous amount of adversity. And I think that, some people, when you're faced with conflict and you're faced with that, some people hide and walk away. And I've realized that that's just part of life. And, where other people may have a certain reaction to it, I've looked at it and I've always tried to look at the opportunity there, because I believe that when bad things happen to you and you're in a very, very difficult time, there's something to be learned. And I got into the banking industry after college, and it was kind of interesting because I got thrown out of credit committee several times, conventional credit committee, for loans that I was fighting for, and realized I probably was not a really, really good fit in traditional conventional banking. And while I was struggling trying to find my way in conventional banking, all of a sudden the opportunity presented itself to start a small business center which was really focused exclusively, this is back in the 80s, to focus primarily on serving the needs of small businesses. And this was really kind of before small business lending became so popular. And that is when I really kind of began to step my toe and learn about SBA lending. And so it was really kind of ironic, even back, 30 some odd years ago, how adversity and not thriving in an environment of a traditional role led me to this industry. And I realized nothing's necessarily easy. Not everything's easy. Part of the reason how I ended up really in the SBA business was because of adversity. Every business that we lend to goes through their cycles and they have adversity. And so they come to us and we help them create a solution. And that's where we're creating the opportunity for them out of what is their perceived adversity. I was kind of miserable working for other people. And, I realize, and that may not necessarily be adversity, but, when you're in a situation, you're not happy and you may be doing okay in your career, but you're really not personally thriving, and you've got these headwinds against you, and you realize that you're in this career, but you're not really getting out of it what you want. And that was really kind of what started the impetus for starting the company that really helped me and a lot of these people that I now have been working as part of my team for years, really be able to kind of start this company. And we became, we've all worked together and we've helped so many different businesses. So most of the time that something is good has happened, there's been adversity that's come along with it. That's been the start of it.
Yeah, it's sort of the impetus to kind of create some motion that if you're looking for the opportunity lurking in that, there's a lane somewhere to get into.
We get to learn about so many different businesses and work with so many different people who have this passion, and to hear their story. And there's nothing more powerful than listening to somebody who's been through the ringer and they've been through so much strife and struggle in their life, and all of a sudden they built this incredible business where they've all of a sudden overcome the adversity. And that's just one of my beliefs in life. Look, you're gonna face headwinds no matter what. Yeah. And you're gonna get knocked down, and just how you react to that not only tells the character of who you are, but it also builds a culture of a company.
Well, that conversation that we had, I think, would have been in 2009. about 5 or 6 months after I started my business.
Right.
Which is funny because the adversity of being laid off for the first time in my career sort of led me to, I was pushed off the cliff of entrepreneurialism, and I thought, I guess I'll do this thing. So if that hadn't happened, we're not having that conversation,
right.
To begin with. And, 11 and a half years later, the adversity has been beneficial for me too. So maybe it was really impactful for me to hear that, and maybe that's why I remember when you said that, is because the place where I was. Let's talk about a different kind of adversity. So our industry was asked to do something pretty monumentally difficult this year. We were asked to push about, what was it, $300 billion worth of loans through, a funnel about the size of a straw in about 8 weeks. And our industry usually does about $20 billion of loan volume in a year.
Correct.
And so what was that experience like for Q2 Business Capital? And what was it like for you trying to be at the helm of that ship?
So it wasn't even an option. It wasn't even a consideration that we weren't going to participate.
Sure.
And we had, based on our process, we realized that we had to get operational quickly. And quite frankly, in a matter of about 7 business days, we set up a program to begin to take applications. Really, it was almost like Chicken Little, the sky was falling. And so we had to be steady and figure out, how are we going to address this? So based on what we knew how, we put together a team, and in a matter literally of about 7 or 8 business days, we set up a program where we could accept applications. And it's hard lending into an environment where you don't know what the future is going to be. Everybody was, quite frankly, freaking out.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody knew what the future was going to hold, and everyone was so fearful that the money was going to run out. So it was almost like this huge gold rush, almost like the Hunger Games. And really, that everyone was so afraid that they were not going to get their piece of the pie. But for me, it's really about helping people, and that's what we got to do. I've now been part of, either in a management, a leadership, an origination, or whatever, in over $2 billion worth of loans.
Wow. And there's a lot of impact from those.
Well, that's what I'm getting at, and that's what's awesome. And I don't think that, and I think the day-to-day, you're so in the middle of it, and you're working through it, and you're doing what you need to do, but when you step back and you get to pause, and for you, think about how many thousands of people you've placed. It's not we sell a sell a product and that's it. We are truly helping people in ways that I don't know that we necessarily really imagine. And then to see them grow and see them thrive, and then come back years later and borrow from us again and share with us an experience, or see them sell their business and then be able to retire. That's really, to me, what it's all about.
I will say this, we could go on all night talking about this space, and we've done that. We've proven that many, many times before, but I finished my drink.
Yeah.
And so I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
If you've learned one thing from this past year or so of adversity, specifically related to the pandemic and all that it's meant, that you will take forward into the future for good, what would that be?
Nothing really is that easy. Nothing really is that easy. And for me, don't take anything for granted. Have humility. Do the right thing and treat people with respect. And at the end of the day, have personal integrity in all that you do. And if you do those right things, you'll be blessed.
John, this has been a delight. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for sharing your story with our industry.
It's been an honor, and thank you for the opportunity. I'm glad to have you here in my home, and always glad to see you. And it's been a really cool experience.
This season on the SBA Roadshow.
Get my good angle.
I'm not getting the whole story. Yeah.